Hello guys, welcome back. And in the last episode, we are done with making a simple login API. But that isn't it. Okay, that I doesn't say it's a fully functional because in the client side we need a lot of information to handle the actual login stuff. Okay, so we need to have a session and a other some kind of predefined stuff to organize that. Okay, so only thing we done is the basic stuff. We're gonna check. We are just checking if the login is happening or not, and then we are making a response. But that isn't enough. We need to have a little more meta information related to that, and we're gonna have it in this session. So before that, I just worked in the offline, so I just cleared out this all the scrap code that we had done and organized the code. So I created a class called v1. Okay, so it has a constructor. Right now it's an empty constructor, so it doesn't do anything. And we got a method called handle route. So to handle the routes, it said that I created the objects of db and auth. So I just created a variable called response today. So now this response is gonna hold the get response. Okay, whatever route we are working with, its response will be routed into the response array available. Okay, I just say that. And at the end, for the commonly, I just added these two stuff. Okay, one is the request and the other one is the developer. So the request is going to hold information related to the server name and the request URL. Okay, so the server name is going to hold the present domain name, assume like that, and request URL it's going to hold the route the user has, the client has requested. And whereas the developer contains information related to my brand. Okay, it's about my brand. In case a third party uses, they'll get who's the author of this thing. Okay, finally just using the echo JSON code, since it is an API, we need to encode it use JSON, right? So if I make a request like that, it's simply JSON. You'll see this instantly. In the last episode we just only did this. Right now it's now having a request and a developer keys. Okay, in the request key we have server name and request URL, whereas in developer we had the author name, website, YouTube, GitHub, blah blah blah. Okay, it's a kind of a pretty basic one. So now getting back to today's episode, so the patching of this stuff, right? So we are working with the sessions. Okay, we need to have a session for the user when he's perfectly started. So for that I'll just create a session over here. So whenever it's beginning, I'll just make sure the session has started. So okay, right. So here, before we begin to log in, I'll just make sure if is set of dollar underscore session of UID. Okay, and is set of dollar underscore session of username. Okay, there's if there is variables are set, I'll uh, just say break here instead. That would be better, right? I'll just say break. For now, we'll come back to this in later. Okay, so for now I'll just keep it. I'll just explain you why I did that in a while. So if you have the sessions, you'll know it better. Right, coming back to authentication here, since already session has been created, I'll just say dollar underscore session of UID is equal to dollar UID, and the dollar underscore session is equal to username is equal to dollar username. uh, did I have username here? Oh, I'm using request username, right? I'll just use request username. Yeah. So and coming to APIs, most of the time you need to send your information via the response, right? So I need this UID to be sent to the like the client and, to communicate with me back again. So I'll have this in the session, so it's not a big deal to send it from here, right? So here I'll add another in here is a response of data equals to an array. Okay, I'll just create an associate array directly. That would be better call if I do that. So I'll say UID, it's nothing but dollar underscore session of UID. says no, it's not semicolon. Okay, done. Let's make a login here. Send. So there you go. You could see I got UID saying 1. For now, if I click on again, you're just gonna see nothing. Okay, right now, because what's happening here is once the session has been set, assume like in the server, session will be set to every single computer. Okay, every single machine will have a session inside the server instance. So when it is been set, I'm making sure if it is set, I'll just break, I'll not do the login call, or else I'll make the login call. So in case the session has been set, we need to do we need not to interact with the database ever again. Okay, it is not required to interact with the database again. I'll just make sure if uh, I'll just okay, it's better if you do it in the login application. Okay, in here instead of here. Okay, I'll just do it in there instead of here, so it will be easier to organize the stuff, right? I'll just go to here. Okay, in the top I'll just okay, here before making any database, so I'll put it here. Okay, if is it of both are set, I'll just make sure if the username is the same. Okay, dollar equals of username is equal to the sessions. It may happen like some other may log in into the same system, so in that case I just want to make sure they have logged out. So this is what it does. Okay, so if it is equal to the same thing, uh, I'll do one thing. I'll just if the username is equal to username, and the password right now what he has sent to us should be also the same, right? So the password uh, what he has sent and the session password what I had should be same. So I should also save the password. Since it's an MD5 password, that's not a big deal. So I could save that. Since yep. So yeah. So now the password has been saved into the session. I'll just get the password. So if requested password and the session password is the same, then I'll just set this thing to 200, and I'll return the response. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll just set the status to like 1. Okay, okay, I'll just make sure if dollar this hyphen status equal to 1, then do this. I just also need to set the status to 100. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm making sure if every single statement here passes, I'll set the status to 1. In case any one of them fails, I'll just not do anything. I'll just start doing this stuff. Okay. So I need not to reset everything, because if anything goes wrong, it's okay to go like that. Okay, let's see how it goes. Undefined index password. Yeah, I know it just happens because we are doing encoding, right? Okay. For now, I'll just do this thing. Whenever it begins, I'll just unset this both stuff. Okay, unset off dollar possession. I'll just unset them. Now I got comment that. So now, how many times you put the same value, you could see it is actually loading from the session. It's not going to the database. It just been stopped at the server. So we could actually change this to something else, and you could wait, what the, okay, you could see that UID, but you could see its status is 400. Okay, since it's been setting up the reference of uh, okay, I'll just let me check. Right now we need to like we need to differentiate that. your UID has been loading from uh, you know this thing, so I just want to do that here. So I'll do it in the uh, handle response. So it's a better way to do. Yeah. Okay, now it should be better. So in case the password goes wrong, just say this, just the status saying that it's an error. So you could also do a more like I'll do it. I'll just show you how I do it. So in case there is an error, I'll send a code. Okay, I'll just put a code. It's like a better way of handling this stuff again. / incorrect details, and the message is uh, details passed are incorrect to validate. Yeah. Now you could see a better result here. I don't know why it's saying okay. Hold on, what's happening? This to 400. Where is that? Okay, send. Okay, it should be coming over here. If not, okay, let me do one thing. I'll just echo the $this hyphen status 400. Yeah, it's my bad actually. It's this response. Oh, that's a pretty badass. Okay, now you could see. So you could see status and the data. It just contains a code and a message. In the code, it says that such incorrect details, and in the message, it says details passed are incorrect to validate. Or you could say a little more clear experience because it's related to login authentication failed due to incorrect input. So it's up to you how you put your message. So it's like a more brief explanation to the user. So the code gives a simple code thing. So code indicates what type of a request is this. It's related to authentication or authorization or a blog based anything. And what's the kind of error? It says incorrect details, and the message is a brief one. That's it. So this is how you could patch up your responses. So this is how your API should look. So every API goes in the similar structure, guys. Okay, so now this is about like a login stuff, right? So in the next episodes we'll be going through a little more so about, right? Okay, so right now these APIs are only repeated to the post method, so no one can use a get method to get this data, but we'll work it out. We'll make sure it works with the get method too. It makes a little complications when you take with the get method, so we'll handle that and we'll show you how you could use the get method in the future. So for now, this is about login and stuff.